Twitch. Where's Twitch? It's not that one. It's not that one. It's that one. It's that window. There we go. And we are live. Perfection. Hopefully. Yeah, that looks good.
Check.
Cool. Start casting. What would I cast? Oh, cast Twitch 2. So just Kim can just throw it to the TV in the lounge, and Kim can just watch us as we're podcasting. Like, what the fuck is going on? Why am I watching them? And they're upstairs? Why have you interrupted whatever drivel I'm watching at the moment?
Oh, she might hear you. Hear you say all these horrible
I
things.
accidentally have started casting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Let's get going. Perfect. Welcome,
Okay.
friends, to Tanked Up, the podcast all about video games and beer. I'm one of your hosts, Ben, here with Lucy.
Hello.
Hey. It is episode 365. I think
That's how many days there are in a year.
exactly. I was going to make that point, and then I think I got an episode wrong about 10 or 15 episodes ago, and I'm like, it's 365, and it definitely wasn't. And I definitely you've got an episode for every day of the year, which actually now you do. If anyone wants to go back a whole year's worth, it's an undertaking. A year's worth of episodes, 2 hours ish an episode. Just that's a lot.
I don't recommend.
Well, I mean, we've had some bigger swings in the last couple of weeks, some bigger checks on each of the episodes popping up.
True.
So we've got a few more listeners. Hello, new listeners.
thank
Let
you.
us know if you're around and you're listening. Come and join us in the Discord or talk to us over on Twitter at TankedUpCast. And listen to us each and every week where you can hear me drink some beers and Lucy talk about some games. Because that's the dynamic at the moment. Because I played nothing as per. Even when I said that last week, and I had played something, and I played a little bit of The Last of Us Remastered. This week, nothing. Haven't even turned anything on this week.
Damn.
But I have drunk a few beers, and I'm going to drink one this evening. I was away at the weekend. Another reason why I haven't played anything. But I went into Tesco, because it's the only shop, big supermarket, kind of up or down where we were staying. And I haven't been in Tesco for ages. They had a bunch of new beers in, so I grabbed a few. A couple of new ones from Vocation, a double IPA, which was very nice, that I had the other day. Very, very sweet. But tonight, another beer from Vocation. It's a bit more Easter themed. I know we're a week or two out of Easter now, but this is a mint chocolate stout, which has been barrel aged, and it is 12.2%. And I thought, I've got to try it. A 12% beer in the supermarket for like £4.50. This could be the worst experiment ever. It could be absolutely amazing. There is a little bit of flavour text. So, luxurious, minty, and bittersweet flavours give way to a sophisticated after-dinner style dark chocolate, enhanced by barrel aging over 9 months in bourbon. That's it. That's everything.
Okay.
It does come in a snazzy bottle instead of a can, though, as I suppose you would expect from a sort of a barrel-aged stout. That nose was big. As soon as I cracked that, that's big, and I can see a load of sort of steam, a little bit of maybe carbonation coming out from the top of the bottle as well. Lovely nose. Definitely getting a lot of that mint off there, but a little bit of roasted chocolate as well, which is very nice. I was going to look for a date, but I don't think there is one. There's nothing printed or stamped on the bottle. Oh, there is. Ooh. So I've got the 17th of January 2024. So hopefully it's a start of year brew potentially. So maybe 3-4 months old at this point, something like that. But it's a stout, so you'd expect it to still be good after all of that time.
Yeah.
A little bit of carbonation as I poured, little sort of brown bubbly fizzy head just off the top.
Okay.
Very,
Oh,
very
that's
sweet.
okay.
Even here, as I'm pouring, sort of, half a foot away from me, a lot of notes coming out of the glass. It's very, very sweet. So there was a nice tone coming out of the bottle, but as soon as I poured it into the glass, it's like and I know we get this with a lot of kind of stouts that have got a bit of carbonation to them. It's got that sort of cheap, flat Coke kind of smell to it. That kind of sweetness. That very sort of artificial level of sweetness to the nose. It looks incredibly thin as well in the glass, which again is kind of expected at the price point and for maybe a bit more of a mass-produced sort of beer. It does say on there that it's a special release, which I would imagine means that it's more just limited in the quantity that was kind of brewed. Okay, it's not as thin in the mouthfeel.
Okay, that's good.
It is, but it's not thick. It's not viscous. It's edging between kind of thin and medium. So it's not kind of water. It's not flying back, but it's also not that kind of decadent, smooth mouthfeel that I would want from something like this.
So that would be my arch nemesis. Stouts.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting flavour. So I think the nose does it a little bit of a disservice because I'm not getting that cheap Coke flavour on the taste. I am, however, getting a little bit of mint, a little bit of dark chocolate, and a little bit of a more woody kind of whiskey in there as well. Something a little bit of, well, I suppose it's more bourbon. It has got that sweetness to it. I'm trying to work out what's a bit of sweetness from the barrel aging, what's maybe a bit of sweetness from whatever is giving it that mint element to it. But
because I don't like mint.
Oh, do not. Okay.
No.
Okay. I mean, they call it a mint chocolate stout, and it is very after eight. If you don't like mint, have you ever had an after eight?
Yeah, sadly. Yeah, I mean, no, I just can't do mint with chocolate. The only thing I can do mint is like in a raita or with lamb.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe savory. I can't do herbs and fruits with chocolate most of the time. It's just not right,
Fair.
A box of what is it, Quality Street is like my worst nightmare. You don't know what any of them are, and then if you pick the wrong one, like the strawberry one,
Oh mate, after eight strawberry Quality Street, send them my way, mate. I will devour that shit.
God, it's disgusting. How does anyone do it?
I love it. My teeth scream at me every time I do it. But I like those flavours. And I kind of like the flavour in this beer as well. It is minty. It has got a little bit of chocolate. But it's really dialed down. None of this is that big. The kind of the overarching minty flavour, which is probably the driver in a lot of this, it sticks all the way through, and it's giving me that little bit of confusion about whether there's a bit of sweetness from the kind of the bourbon barrel aging, or whether it's maybe from sort of something else that's been brought in to make that sweet minty kind of flavour, because it has got that little bit of kind of creaminess to it that you get from something like an after eight, because it's like a fondant in it, isn't it, rather than it kind of being mint flavoured sugar, essentially. And that is kind of what this is. And as I say, the nose does this a massive disservice because it's so much better than the nose gives off. And for 12 odd percent, 12.5, 12.2, 12.2% for a £450 stout. If you like those flavours, you can't go wrong with this. I think. It's
Yeah.
going back pretty quickly. So I'll probably pour the rest and just
That's
let it
interesting.
sit for a moment.
How on earth did you find that in Tesco?
Just on the shelf, wasn't it? What else did
Yeah.
I pick up? I had another Vocation the other day, which was a dipper, which again I think that one said it was a special release or a special edition or
Okay.
something like that.
Yeah.
So maybe a one-off brew potentially. I've got a Northern Monk, which looks like a Patron's Northern Monk. As well. I haven't double checked. I just saw some ridiculous art and I'm like, cool, I'll get that one as well.
Okay. Yeah.
What else did I get? There's one more that I might save for next week to drink. I'm trying to be, again, Kim's still on maternity, trying to be as frugal as possible. So beer choices are limited at the moment to sort of more local stuff, which is a little bit cheaper, and then what I can get in, say, the supermarket or something like that. And Maury Bob's has been atrocious as of late with sort of new releases. Everything that's been in there has been in there for like a year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's funny how they have these. Well, I guess that's what people who go to supermarkets like, though. They like consistency. They don't like go in there and saying, "Where's my faith from Northern Monk gone?" You know what I mean? So, I guess these are craft breweries. Maybe they don't have the chains in place and the logistics in place to get like anything new to there. It's just like, okay, we have the contract with Sainsbury's, with Morrison's, the Holy Faith or the Faith is going there, and then everything else is too much of a logistical nightmare to get in a supermarket. Perhaps, but
potentially. I mean, I've been buying sort of as my regular kind of something to drink through the week, just like a multi-pack of Korev, which is the St. Austell Lager, multi-packs of what did I drink the other day? The Brooklyn Brewery Pilsner, which I found out from the advert, actually, which I randomly saw. They've got an advert for it. Is brewed here in the UK.
Okay. Right.
So contract brewed somewhere. It'd be interesting to find out where that is exactly, and who's doing that for Brooklyn. They probably filled the space. Brewdog have filled the space that Cloudwater have left from them not being brewed anymore by Brewdog up in for the sort of Tesco's, because Cloudwater are like, nah, we're done with Brewdog. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Don't know if Brooklyn have thought about that, but they might not be. Might be someone completely different, or they've got their own operation over here, which would be the best of the best case scenario, I suppose, for supply into these supermarkets. So that's kind of been the multi-packs sort of thing that I've been kind of hitting up. Or there was a Camden Pale. Again, when my brother was up for the bank holiday weekend, I brought a big multi-pack. It was like £11 because it was on sale for like 12 cans. Just like, cool, I'll buy that. And I brought 2 packs of six cans of or 2 6-packs of Korev as well. It's all like 4.5% beer in it, and we absolutely demolished it in just a night. So
Nice.
it's just we just sat there like, it just doesn't touch the sides anymore, does it? Sort of 4.5%. You can start at like midday and go until like 11 at night on 4% beer. It just makes no difference. Whereas when we start at a beer festival at 11 in the morning, and you go, should we have this 13% sour that someone's made because it's the first beer?
Why not?
Breakfast? Why not?
You might as well. They may have run out by the time you circle back around to that tent. So
catches
it's
you
the
very
right thing to
quickly.
do. Yeah. It's the only thing that just keeps me standing up all day, though, probably. Only thing that fuels me. All that sugar.
That's it. It's the sugar. It's the sugar. Yeah. Good. Right. I will drink this, and we'll move on to games. Well, I won't. I'll just sit and be an active participant in in your week of whatever you've been playing.
Yeah. Gosh, I know one game I played. Did I play anything before that? Because I was, circling around on the old Steam Deck. So let me get up Steam. I played a game called Hook 2, which is the sequel to Hook, not the Peter Pan film with.
Oh.
Yeah, unfortunately not. I mean, there's probably an NES game for Hook or something.
No, Hook's got to have come out much later than the NES, surely. Hook's
Yeah,
got
but
to
it was
be
probably they still probably put it on there because it was like, no, we don't have the budget for this. Can't make it for the SNES. Let's just dump it on the NES.
It'll be. You'll find that there's this really obscure Sega Saturn Hook game or something like that where only three people had played.
Let's have a let's Google this because I really want to know. Hook. What year was it? 93 or something? No, 91.
No, it's got to be earlier. Yeah.
Okay. Because Hook 1991 video game. So look. Yes. And I was right. It's the NES.
In 91.
Okay, there was the side-scrolling platform game for the NES.
Jesus.
And Game Boy, released in the States in 1992. Subsequent side-rolling platform games were released for the Commodore 64 and the Super and the SNES.
In 91.
Beat 'em up. In 92.
Wait, how old is time?
But there were beat 'em ups in 1992, followed by versions for the Sega CD, Sega Genesis,
Sega CD,
and the Game Gear in 1993. Graphic adventure point-and-click game. Now this I want to know.
There's no way people were playing Game Gears in 1993.
You know what? I was still playing.
Yeah.
Sega Master System into the 90s.
So, actually, I thought Game Gear was a late 80s handheld, but it didn't actually release in America and Europe until 1991. Released almost sort of 9 months earlier in Japan in 1990. Mm-hmm. But yeah, maybe a couple of people playing it in 93.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I'm on abandonware looking at this point-and-click adventure game because that sounds interesting. Maybe that I'll play one day. Anyway, yes, Hook. I was playing a game called Hook 2, which is, as I say, the sequel to Hook, which is the small little puzzle game, which is just about basically clicking on things in order.
Okay.
It's basically like all these crisscrossing and intersecting lines, and each one connects to like this nodule, this circular nodule at the end, and some of them have hooks, so some of them overlap and interconnect. So it's like basically pulling out. It's sort of, remember that that game where you had like swords in a barrel, and I think you had to pull them out right or something. Yeah, or like Jenga. It's like pulling out the ones first, so none of them like smash into each other, and you basically got like 3 tries. And if you do that too many times, it ends the level and you restart. But yeah, Hook 2 is basically Hook 1, but in 3D. So you're like sort of like manipulating the screen, and you can see all these things in like a 3D environment. So yeah, it's pretty much the same game. I think there's about 100 levels. It was just not mind-numbing, but like something that I didn't have to think too much about, and just worked, massage that bit of my brain just enough to give me a good 2 hours worth of puzzle solving. So
nice. You must have spoken about the original, because the logo instantly kind of reminded me that we have spoken about this previously.
Yes,
yeah. But
it's a game that I think appears on like a lot of bundles and collections on Steam, and often on sale. So yeah, like historical low here is 52 pence for the first Hook. So yeah, it's just a good little game just to be like pop into on Steam Deck, smash out in a couple hours, and like that was satisfying. So,
yeah. Nice.
Nice.
I like the idea that it's changed kind of its perspective. You know, where can a 2D puzzle game go? Well, actually, it can become kind of 3D. And suddenly that does add that extra dynamic. Did you find it harder with the change? Yeah.
Yes. Because sometimes you have to just line up things the right way, and it's just like just getting the right angle. So yeah, it was a bit more challenging in that respect. But yeah, otherwise it's just a very simple concept, and it's cool how it's like, where do we go from a 2D game, make it 3D? So yeah, that's Hook.
Nice.
Did I play anything else on Steam before I get to Coffee Talk? Is it part 2? Episode 2.
Episode 2, yeah.
Hibiscus and Butterfly. Okay. I'm super early on, I should say, before, but let me have a look. Did I play anything else? Did Juicy Loose 9 play anything else? I haven't finished that. Vampire Survivors. In my achievements for Microsoft Rewards points, I haven't got the DLC yet. I'm questioning I should buy it on Xbox. I mean, I'm going to end up buying every DLC for Vampire Survivors on Steam and Xbox at this point. But in terms of getting achievements, I think I'm going to buy it on Xbox because it works out 50 pence. No, it's £1.50 on Xbox, and you get 50 rewards points for every achievement. And this is, I don't even know how many achievements, but I'll earn my money back, basically.
Right. Yep.
Because that's how this sick mind thinks. In terms of getting Microsoft Rewards
I mean,
points.
it makes sense. On Steam, it's currently 10% off. It's £1.43.
Okay, I'm going to go buy that now.
£1.59. I mean, what I find absolutely incredible is that Vampire Survivors, which, you know, a hit from last year on lots of people's kinds of games of the year, as a very simple product. And we've absolutely loved it. We've been hooked at playing Vampire Survivors. And it came out sort of almost out of nowhere with its first DLC kind of pack. And added, you know, another map and a load of characters and some more weapons. And we were like, oh yeah, it's like £1.50. Cool, we'll buy that. When you go on to the new one, Tides of the Vascari, what a ridiculous trailer.
Yeah, it's so good. It's like a 90s cartoon.
Absolutely.
I just want it. I just want them to make a full-on cartoon of Vampire Survivors.
Netflix will be fucking all over this shit.
Yeah, because the Castlevania one was really good.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and it's very much in the same sort of style. Their kind of trailer as the Castlevania anime that came out. I suppose like 4 years ago now. I suppose, but yeah, it's you could see Vampire Survivors very easily being very episodic in terms of focusing on different characters with an overarching narrative and stuff like that. So fuck the rest of the games that we've been playing. Let's just talk about a Vampire Survivors anime for an hour.
I'd love to. Let's will it into existence.
Absolutely. Best game of 2022. Best anime of 2024. Done. It's fun.
I mean, I'd love it because it is just Castlevania. So
yeah.
Yeah. Konami ain't doing it. Ponkel can do it. So yes, I've just bought the DLC on Steam.
Nice.
And I'll probably go buy it on Xbox too. But yeah, Coffee Talk. You want to talk about Coffee Talk?
Yeah, let's talk about Coffee Talk.
Yeah, I'm super early. Like, I only started playing it today. And really, the reason I put it down, other than having a headache and just wanting to sleep, was because I was just like, I want to be in like a relaxed state when I play this game, because this game makes me relaxed, and I want to feel relaxed playing it. Gosh, when did the first one come out? Definitely spoke about it on here, and
yes, we have.
Spoke about it most recently on the real left field, off topic episode me and Adil did a couple weeks ago, which is probably titled, or at least should be titled, the coffee episode, where we talked about coffee for over an hour.
That episode is on Adil's hard drive and nowhere else.
Well, we'll release it as an addendum to my Coffee Talk Part 2 review of thoughts. But, for listeners, when the coffee episode does eventually come out, me and Adil spoke about coffee for about an hour straight, because he's very into his coffee and very knowledgeable about it. And I've only just started drinking coffee. Or at least trying it. It's not going to become a daily thing or anything, but I think, I didn't even plan this, but I'm just clearly just genius, because it just makes coffee talking better now that I know what all these different drinks are. What the difference between an Americano and just a shot of espresso is, and what a latte is, and what a cappuccino is. So yeah, it's like returning back to a, just a nice little, like a little nook in your favorite coffee shop. That's what it's like at playing Coffee Talk Part 2. I think it's pretty much picking up not far from where the last one ended. Like, it's still got the same characters, and it's not too far advanced in what I can remember was their lives back then. But yeah, it kind of reminds me of the YouTube channel, like the chill music to vibe to, or something like that. You can just have that on in the background for ages. This is just it's like a moving screensaver of that, you know what I mean? And that with like dialogue, and it's pretty much a visual novel. I mean, the coffee making, I don't think it's really changed from game to game. I don't think there's any. I mean, there's new drinks that you can do, but I don't think in terms of the mechanics of it, I don't think that's changed too much. The only mechanic that I have spotted very early on, I must say, is the fact that you have access to this little drawer behind the bar.
Okay.
And it's like, oh, someone had given me a letter to give to another character, so I'm wondering if that's going to come into play and sort of be like diverging storylines or scenarios where it's like I can choose to give a character something, or I can choose to hold on to it, or something like that. So I'll be interested to see if that any choice elements are brought into this game. But no, it pretty much is. Well, it's called Episode 2, so I think it's just a direct continuation from where the first one left off. It's got the same UI, same beautiful art style, the really striking pixel art. It's in the same setting, which is a bar that's open late at night in this slightly mundane / slightly fantastical world where there are like people with horns, like elves and this and that. It's set in basically Chicago, but yeah, I think it may actually just be Chicago or something like that. But I mean, the game starts off with saying like, we're in different times now where a lot of historical things in terms of race and gender were set in stone, but now people have started to think critically about it. It's basically the 90s, you know what I mean? Where there was a bit of hope before it all came crumbling down, where people started to, question things, and not only question things, because obviously that's happened for the whole of time, but there was hope on the horizon. But that being said, I think this game is just really like slice of life, visual novel, dialogue. There's no high stakes. There's not going to be any drama as such. You know, nothing life or death. It is just. It doesn't have any messages to give, as far as I can tell.
Okay.
Like the first one, it just seems like, you know, this is just like pleasant dialogue that happens in a coffee shop. You know what I mean? It's you know, people going about their lives, and like the first thing that I came across was just this like horned boy was you know, stating like, doesn't this coffee shop have any like social media or anything, social media presence like on Instagram? How can I, you know, take a picture of this coffee and post it for you and advertise for you? And you know, it could have used that opportunity to be like a bit snarky about whole, you know, influencers and stuff like that. But it's just pretty much down the middle of the road, him saying like, yeah, I'm a bit of a influencer, and that's it. It doesn't, you know, like poke fun at him or anything like that. It's just, it doesn't really have anything much to say on like how, you know, small businesses live and die on, you know, their social media presence now, and how you have to always be on the gram and this and that. It doesn't really give any of those messages. Maybe you can read into that yourself, but I don't think it exactly pushes or forces any kind of beliefs on you or anything like that. I just think it's, you know, it's like reading I'm not going to say her now, just like a book that has nothing, you know, just like a kid's or a teen's book. It's just like, you know, Clueless or something like that. It doesn't really have any overarching messages or something like that. It's just, you know, interesting, like little bits of dialogue about slice of life, you know, for people who come and go from the coffee shop. And I say this not to be disparaging. I like it. I like it for that. It's like, I know what I'm getting into. I know that I can just sit back and relax and not think too much about the outside world or, you know, current affairs or, you know, the status quo or anything. I can just enjoy sitting there, maybe with a coffee, maybe with a cup of tea, just in my little chair, and just enjoy it, you know what I mean? Without having to think about other things. Like, so yeah, it's, as I say, I don't know how much it will differ from the first one. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think people who liked Coffee Talk will probably just want more of it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
They probably won't want it to divert too much from what the first one was.
But it's an interesting kind of play, or Coffee Talk 2 kind of finds itself in both an interesting but also sort of devastating place, because the creator of the first, and the writer of Coffee Talk, passed away last year.
Incredibly sad.
What was his Mohammed something? Sorry, Mohammed Fahmy. So it, who knows how much he'd written of this already for it to then have to someone else to maybe come in and fill in the blanks, sort of thing, and flesh it out a little bit, or whether it was all sort of, you know, fully developed, and if actually this will be taken any further, I suppose, you know, if it was planned that there'd be more episodes, and if an episode 3 may or may not kind of go ahead, but it'd be interesting to see, the more you go through episode 2, how much it kind of not necessarily apes episode 1, but potentially builds on a little more with the story, and it does start to maybe get into a little bit more of putting forward sort of messages and things like that, or whether it is just, okay, actually we don't want to push or change the direction the game was going now into something different, someone else taking on the project to be able to finish it off, kind of thing. We don't want to impose our own things on this, so let's just keep it how it is, just finish it out, and kind of be able to release the product. So it's I think on such a small game, when the kind of creator and main writer passes, it must be hugely devastating first for everybody involved, but then very difficult to kind of pick up and move forward with.
Mm-hmm. No, incredibly sad. And I was just thinking when the opening credits started, I was just thinking, they're gonna have probably gonna have a nice little tribute at the end and stuff. It's just incredibly sad, But it's nice to see that it did come out, because if this is his lasting legacy, like these games, then it's good that we can still enjoy them. And it's just it's really sad, really, really sad, because you just think, what a nice little pleasant game, and such terrible circumstances to be around it. It's just, it's heartbreaking, but yes. So I was also thinking the same thing. It's like how much creative input was, is retained, and so. But immediately first on, it as I say, it's like just going back to a comforting place, because it's just it's well written. The pixel art is fantastic, and the soundtrack is great. It's just calming. It's like instead of I don't know, going to your Calm app or something like that, just play Coffee Talk. You know what I mean? It doesn't even matter if you're not a fan of the dialogue or whatever. It's just like it feels like being in a coffee shop that you know and love and feel comfortable in, and just. That's why I like it, and I'm really looking forward to jumping back in, because it's just like I want to just be relaxed, sat down with a cuppa and play this. So yeah, and usually I have to be in like a sort of kind of particular mood to want to play like games that are very wordy and just like visual novels, and games where you have to read. But this is just like. I'm always in the mood to be chilled out.
Yes.
Could always do with that. So yeah, this is just one where it's like, yep, this is one that I don't want to blast through, because I just want to be in this space. I want to be back in this world, but at the same time, I am just going to smash through it, especially because you can use the dialogue. You can even skip through it as soon as you finish reading, skip through it, or it can just play automatically like a good visual novel.
Yeah.
And it also gives you a transcript of everything that was said, so if you miss anything, you can go back. Which I can't remember what was in the first one, but yeah.
No, it's a nice feature, whether it was in the first one or not. It's always nice.
It's always good,
to track back through what's been said.
Yeah, but the coffee making aspect of it doesn't seem to have changed much. But as I say, I'm at the very start of the game where there's not many ingredients there at the time, so more of those will obviously be introduced. I think I've only got like cinnamon sticks and milk at the moment.
Right.
Maybe a few lemon rinds will end up in the pantry at some point, but
some pumpkin.
But yes. So looking forward to that. But yeah, that's Coffee Talk Part 2. If you enjoyed episode 2, rather, if you enjoyed the first, go play the second. I'll be back hopefully next week, or if not the week after, because hopefully I'll have something else to talk about next week. But I'll be back with full impressions, a bit more substantial in the future.
Cool. It'd be good to definitely kind of keep on it once you've got through, because lots of games have tried to kind of not occupy this space, but have kind of run through this almost being not a barista necessarily, but sort of there's a Red Strings Club where you are a kind of a barkeeper, and that very much deconstructing very much go into social commentary and even personal kind of commentary as well in a lot of their games. And Coffee Talk has always seemed like it occupies a similar sort of space.
Yeah.
And there's the kind of cyberpunky, it's like Valhalla or something like that, isn't it? But it's not, it's like VAR 4.
Yeah. But Valhalla, I think everyone knows it as,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
I need to play that.
Coffee Talk kind of has its own, it's got its own sort of space. It takes it to kind of almost this, our or at least a contemporary kind of time, just in a slightly different dimension, I suppose, with lots of different kinds of characters and races and sexual orientations, I would assume, and all of these kinds of things, which would be ripe for that kind of storytelling and to be able to actually convey kind of message. So, the idea that actually this one has this drawer at the back of the bar that potentially is the kind of sort of the driver to the story almost, or the element of intrigue which can open up lots of different levels of this, is an interesting kind of point for them to be able to spin off and for you to go, oh, someone's given me someone else's ID and I have to give it back to them, and maybe someone else comes in and asks for it and it's not them, and there's all these morality kind of issues around, do you give it to them, and all this sort of stuff. It seems kind of ripe for that. So I kind of want it to, just from what you've said, at least from the first hour or so, or 2 hours, kind of want it to step up and to go, cool, we are going to get heavy into this sort of shit.
That would be interesting. Like, and I hope it does do that. But at the same time, if it doesn't, I'll be like, all right, that's fine. Yeah. That's also fine. You know what I mean? I think there's other games that I don't know why Coffee Talk like holds this this particular place in my brain where it's like, I don't need it to have a message. I don't need it to say anything. I just don't need that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because of the dressing around it. Like, this is a very calming game with a nice soundtrack. You sit in a coffee shop, nice little pixel art. It is basically Cheers the game.
Yeah.
I guess. But it's just like, maybe that's why I give it a bit of a pass, because I think everything else about it just has this calming demeanor. Maybe I don't need like so much social commentary in my games. It's not that they're too chicken shit to do it, or that they failed miserably in the writing. I don't think it's that. I just think it's like, nothing too heavy. We'll push the envelope a little bit, but it's like, no, come back. I want you to be relaxed. But as I said, I don't see that as cowardice or not believing in your own convictions or writing or beliefs. I just feel it's just wants you to chill out.
Yeah.
And I do enter a state of just zen when I'm playing those games. So, but it's interesting.
It is. Just so people know, Valhalla. It's not called Valhalla. It's called VA-11 Hall-A. Cyberpunk Bartender Action. It is currently on
Valhalla.
Steam. Part of a bundle called the Long Story Short bundle, which has Valhalla, Red Strings Club, Coffee Talk, and then Pester Quest, which isn't a game I'm familiar with, and Monster Prom as well.
Okay, that sounds like a good heap of games.
Yeah, a good bundle. To get that kind of experience, I suppose, that very visual novel level of stuff. So yeah,
I really want to get around to Valhalla. I swear it's in. Is it not in my? It's not in my. Okay.
So
my wish list.
I thought it was in my library, but I'm probably I'm sure it must be in some kind of itch bundle somewhere.
Yeah,
it's got to be.
Probably own it on Switch or something. So that's what I did a lot of the time. I didn't want to play on PC, because Switch is cozier, especially to play like a bartending game. When I didn't want to play on PC, I bought it on Switch. Now I don't play my Switch. I've got a Steam Deck. We really need, in this magical world, we need this cross-buy screen where if you bought it on Switch, they're just like, here's a code on Steam. In this magical utopia, probably somewhere in Coffee Talk, this magical utopia exists, but not here on real Earth. Or at least cross save would be nice at least. You know what I mean? Just like onto cheat codes. Look, I've got here an Elden Ring on Xbox. Just copy over my build and this and that, and let me play on PC. You know, just let me do that instead of having to build a whole new character or something.
Yeah, that makes sense.
One can dream, Ben. One can dream.
Absolutely. I don't know how the tech would work, but it's.
We're getting there.
It's got to be possible, surely.
I think there are games that do it.
Yeah.
I just want it in every game.
Yeah, and it's very much when the information is saved sort of server side, isn't it, rather than locally. So lots of games like Hearthstone and those sorts of things will allow you to play it on multiple devices, but logged into an account, and so it kind of knows. I was actually looking because I've fallen off playing Marvel Snap a little bit on my phone, whether I could play it on Steam. Which the game is there, but whether my account would come over, because when I log in on my phone, it's with my Google account. So does it just allow me to do that on Steam when I get onto the game? I don't know. Maybe I'll report back next week. Maybe it's something I'll investigate in the over the weekend or something.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? That would be very nice.
Yeah. It seems like it'd be easy to
do. That's why, I like Xbox and what they've done recently, with just like xCloud or like whatever. You can just play your PC games on PC. I mean, obviously a lot easier with Xbox and Microsoft and PC and stuff like that. But just make my life easy, please. That's all I want. That's all I want. My life to be easy.
Done, just easy. You can just basically lie in bed, and whichever the closest device is, it doesn't matter, because everything is on it. The same save state as it was on the other thing that's next to the toilet. So you never actually have to carry anything anywhere. One can just be here to use. One can just be there to use. One can be by the toilet. It just doesn't matter anymore.
That's how I like to live my life. So, whatever device is closer, I'll just maybe I'll play. Maybe I'll play the Game Boy or the analog packet.
I did read there is a Sony handheld, potentially, from what people are saying, in development, but one that isn't like a continuation of the PSP and the Vita. Basically just a mirror to the PS5. So essentially what you get kind of through remote play on your phone and PC and even PS4. You can even have a PS4 plugged in a different room and use an app to play PS5 games. It turns the PS5 on, it just basically streams it to it. And I don't know what the point of that might be.
The only way I could justify it in my mind, if it was cheap, like very cheap, like maximum £75, and it works as well as the much maligned Wii-U tablet, because generally that Wii-U tablet was really good to play games on from your TV. Like what was the resolution of that screen? I can't even remember, but the game still looked good because it was such a small screen, and especially if it was like a Nintendo first party game, looked good. Really low latency, and that's how I played quite a few games on the Wii U. So I can't remember what the range of it was. Probably a couple meters. In fact, probably a bit more than that. I'd probably say
maybe like 4 or 5 meters. Like you could sit back on the couch.
Yeah.
The console's over there behind the telly or something. Yeah.
And I remember playing it in a different room in the house as well. Okay. So it was like, it didn't have to be like directly in front of the TV. But but even then, that was what, like 10 years ago. Jeez. Yeah. 10 years ago, the Wii U came out or whatever, and it's like, even though you expect technology to have advanced a bit further, like things like just tethering like a mobile device and trying to play what's on my Xbox. That can be. I just don't do it because it's so spotty. It's just much easier just playing on iCloud.
Yeah.
And just, using their servers rather than my own Wi-Fi connection. Because even though my Wi-Fi is much better than it used to be, I remember when it was Virgin who we were with, and it was just awful, just woeful. Even though that's a bit better, it's still not ideal. Like, even playing from the cloud, sometimes I just, get to pop my achievement each day and just load up Vampire Survivors on the cloud. I mean, I imagine quite a lot of people playing that game, so the servers are a bit, and it's not the best experience. It's a bit, not even a bit, it's very choppy, that game, sometimes, so it's like, yeah, I mean, you don't have a PlayStation 5, but say if you did, what do you think that would come in use to you? Second screen.
I think it would, definitely. If we're sat in the lounge and Kim wants to telly for any reason, yes. Having something that was, bigger than my phone, that was potentially, if it was kind of that way and sort of 3 times the sort of the length at least, with, I suppose, a built-in kind of pad around it, because you can get kind of the backbone pads that sit around your phone, can't you? And various other controllers that do that sort of
I've
thing.
just got a clip on my Xbox controller, and that's what I use.
Yeah. And so you've got that already for the phone. So yes, okay, if it was, nice and ergonomic, and it was, around that Steam Deck sort of size, with a reasonable screen to it, yes, absolutely, I could see that. But you're not catering to anyone who has their PS5 kind of plugged into a PC setup, to kind of a dual monitor setup or something like that. Because why would they do that? It's more for people that have to share a TV almost, or people that maybe do want to have the convenience of sitting in bed and playing it, and doing something like that. But I would think that, and I imagine it would be quite hard to do on a very reasonable kind of cost basis, that actually they should be hitting something closer to the Steam Deck. So it's a separate device. Yes, you have to have a kind of a PS. Well, you don't have to have a PS5. Just make it like a portable PS5. The graphics and all the settings are just lower. It's not as good as the PS5 in terms of sort of its optimization and those kinds of things, as I suppose for more intensive games are on the Steam Deck versus just playing them on a top kind of spec rig. It seems like that's the kind of thing. And again, rather than coming out and going, it's a PS Vita, it is a different spec, so we have to make completely different games for it. Having the same library, absolutely, that is needed, I think, if you're going to start to have different kinds of devices. But yes, for me, if let's say I can get a PlayStation 5 when Kim's gone back to work and we've got a little bit extra cash, it's around Black Friday, it's just after my birthday, I've got a load of money saved up, and it comes down to 400 quid, cool, PS5, easy. If this time next year they then released this handheld, or it's available kind of in the new year, and it is sub £100, absolutely, that seems like a good kind of purchase. If a whole bundle comes out and it's 500 quid for a PS5 and this plugin, and I'm pretty sure we talked about this, we had this conversation before the PS5 released, that actually how good would it be if this existed, if they had the Wii U control pad built in with the PS5. Listeners, that episode absolutely exists. There is a discussion about this.
They stole your idea, Ben. They stole it.
Obviously, they just listened to us and they're like, maybe we should do that. It's just taken them, like 4 years to do it or something like that. But yes, absolutely. If it was, low tech, It didn't have a 2-hour battery life on it and constantly need to be charged. Now that's the key as well. It would be the battery life.
Yeah. Because when you start factoring battery, and I mean, it couldn't possibly have like much storage on it, because then you're talking money, and it's just. And it's just, going into, we're doubling down on the cost. A wild Kim appeared.
She did appear. I don't think she quite realised that the camera was pointed at the door.
Bless her. Because I was like, is the door handle moving? And I was just like, yeah, that's the Velociraptor coming to get Ben. Yeah. But it would, as you say, starting to put like battery life and storage and a nice screen. This is just adding cost. And I mean, I don't think Sony are a fan of selling things at a loss.
No.
So yeah, it'd probably end up being a couple £100. And just thinking, probably not the right market. Like because people are looking at like Switches and Steam Deck, and it's like these things can do everything I want, especially like the Steam Deck is a PC, the Switch is also a home console that you can play. Just having something that just mirrors a screen, I think people will maybe laugh them out of the room and laugh them out of the market, especially if it isn't cheap. Because just having a redundant second screen is nice in practice. Like I say, if I had, if Xbox came out with that, I'd be like, yeah, cool, I can play it in bed now. But if it was pricey, just thinking, what's the point? I'd rather play xCloud on my Steam Deck.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
And it wouldn't put it past Sony to come out at a completely poor price point. I think they've struggled with PSVR 2. Again, with the idea that X number of PlayStation 5s, which have been in short supply, maybe not for the last 6 months, but previously, then to come out with the PSVR 2 and go, okay, yeah, sure, we've got like I have no idea, but a 10 million install base. It won't be 10 million, but a 10 million install base.
It's a lot more than that.
The PSVR originally with like an 80mm PS4 install base sold 5 million. So we know that it's, I'm making this up. I don't know.
All right.
No. So when they go, I just think it's the wrong time for them to go, cool, we've got like a 10 million install base. Actually, there's only like maybe a 5% attachment rate to to the VR. So we've only sold 500,000 units. And I think they've actually sold something like, the only stat I do know is maybe they've sold about 300 or 350,000 PSVR 2s.
Yeah, last I heard was 200,000, but that was a few weeks ago.
I think it's about 300,000 that they've sold in this sort of initial period.
Which for me sounds like, I think they've done all right. Obviously, it hasn't hit their projections, but I'm just thinking, cost of living crisis. Like,
absolutely.
It's an expensive piece of kit. Not a lot of your games are going to carry over. This is definitely for enthusiasts and VR enthusiasts and tech enthusiasts.
It's the wrong time.
I think it's done all right, but obviously not what they would have projected.
Completely. So
I don't know.
Anything else that kind of comes out as a peripheral for a console, when a lot of people have probably already got it plugged into their TV and they just sit on their bed and play, or it's plugged into their PC already, and it's only mirroring a screen, that's going to be a really hard sell. Yeah, especially when you're thinking the people who probably have a PS5, they probably have a Steam Deck or a Switch as well, you know what I mean? Like, and they're probably thinking, why would I play God of War on a second screen
the little indie games that would probably work best on this second screen already own on Steam, already own on Switch. You know,
yeah. And the people who don't have those additional kinds of platforms to be able to play it on, probably only playing 1 or 2 games a year anyway.
Playing FIFA.
The Call of Duty or the FIFA kind of, or the Madden sort of players that pick that up and then might go, okay, yeah, I will pick up The Last of Us or God of War or one other kind of game to see them through sort of for the year. So it's, I don't know. I really don't know. And at the moment, again, Sony's not announced anything. This is all kind of second-hand rumor and not necessarily speculation. In a sense, it is, but founded in some kind of evidence, and people kind of coming forward and saying that stuff is being developed. So, yeah, it just seems very odd. What we really need is like Guitar Hero again, and that kind of plastic trash peripheral.
Kind of e-waste.
To sit here and just strum very tiny guitars, little banjos, like really small.
Although that being said, like if PlayStation came out with a proper handheld, say like the Switch or something, would I be enticed? It's hard because like the games that I would play on PlayStation are their big blockbuster Spider-Mans and Gods of Wars, and I don't think I would be, because you know me, a sucker for a handheld. But like I'm just waiting for those games to come on Steam, and then I could play it on Steam Deck.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
With that, but I don't know. Like you know what? If they call it the Vita 2, I'm first in line.
But
just brand it the Vita 2.
I don't know how much the Vita and the PSP kind of the price point that they released at. Let me.
I think the Vita was quite expensive,
PS
wasn't
Vita,
it? Originally,
release price. Let's see. It was $250. So maybe
the Vita.
The Vita.
Oh wow, okay, that isn't too bad. Sorry, it was a proprietary storage that was very expensive.
Yes, it's like £100 for a memory card or something ridiculous like that. Jeez, UK, it was £230, and I was gonna say that it's probably okay. A 3G enabled model was £280, and I would imagine that if they're creating a handheld in the vein that we're talking about, it's got to be about that price point, right? It's 250 to 300
at least. Yeah. I mean, that seems cheap now, relatively, because everything's so expensive now. Like, back then, what was that, 2011? That probably would have been like, okay, you may be pushing it a bit, because I guess the PlayStation 3 was notoriously expensive, but yeah, like the Switch was 300, I think. So that makes sense.
It's come down a lot, though, hasn't it? The kind of the original model now, because they had the refresh with the OLED screen and stuff like that, didn't they? So, how much was the Steam Deck?
400, I want to say.
Was that? Did you get the top model or the mid model?
The bottom.
Right.
I wanted the least storage because it's like I'll just buy a memory card.
Yeah.
I think that was 400 from what I can remember. I think Adil got the middle tier one, I think. Yeah. How much was the Steam Deck? Was it 400 or 500?
Just having a look.
It'll be on the website, won't it?
Steam. It is, so the bottom model is £350. Then it's £460, and then the top one is £570.
Okay, yeah, I got the middle one. Out of stock, eh?
The bottom one's out of stock.
Yeah.
The other two you can get in a week or two. You just got £500 lying around.
I wish. Yeah. Carrying case is nice.
But again, it's all of this sort of stuff, isn't it? You know, could PlayStation come out with a, not necessarily, and it's not a Steam Deck competitor, because you'd very much have to be in the PlayStation ecosystem already to have the library to be able to play. Even if they went, this is a Steam Deck, but for PlayStation 4 and 5. You know, it is your PlayStation library available on a handheld. Do they then come out in a similar kind of vein and say, well, it's got, you know, there's two models, one with a limited amount of memory and isn't the, you know, not necessarily storage memory, but kind of like RAM, because I think Steam Deck does that as well, doesn't it? Like the difference is in its working memory, not necessarily its kind of storage. So they come out and say, you know, if you want, this is almost the PS4 version. You can play PS5 games on them, but they don't look great. And then this is the PS5 version, which will give you an equivalent kind of view. And a PlayStation 5 is 450 quid. And this is a handheld, which is a PS5 and is 450 quid. It is not a mirrored screen. You haven't got to have a PS5. This is it. I mean, I wouldn't bother buying the console. I'd just buy that. Like it comes out and it's 450 quid. It's the same price as the console. Fuck it. Yeah, 480 is, yes, it did go up. It went up to 480.
Yeah, thanks, Sony. But yeah. As I say, call it the Vita 2, and I'll buy it. You know what I mean? But yes, you're right. It's like, well, I guess it's what you treasure most. Is it the convenience and the portability, or is it like the pure guts of the system? Which,
yeah.
You know, everyone has their different priorities.
Absolutely.
You know, for me, who's only playing probably the big AAA games on PlayStation, I just want them to redesign that hideous thing, and then maybe I'll consider it. Redesign it, knock 200 quid off it, and maybe towards the end of the generation, if anything. Well, I don't really know what games are coming out beyond Spider-Man, so I mean, we've done Sequel City. Hopefully, they'll have a few new titles. You know, like last generation, when they had several new IP. Yep. So they do it this time round.
Yeah, you've got to see kind of it is going to be sequels for a while, like Spider-Man 2, which is kind of like Spider-Man 2.5, isn't it? If you consider that it's Miles as well. There's Ghost of Tsushima 2. That's got to be being made as well, because that game did ridiculously well. Insomniac are making that Wolverine game, which is a PlayStation exclusive, but that's maybe still another 2 years away, possibly 2025, maybe. God of War, I think, is probably on the back burner, but Santa Monica is making a new game as well, so there's something completely new coming from them. So I think it's maybe a mixed bag over the next, say, 4 or 5 years, potentially.
Because it was looking like Sequel City and nothing else for a few years ago, so that's good.
And what I think will be the interesting point in this console generation is how I think Microsoft and Sony will diverge from each other now. And I think we're more likely to see a PlayStation 5.5 or a Pro model in maybe 2 years, and that actually the PlayStation 5 lifespan as a system is similar to the 4. You know, it's like an 8-year, a 10-year sort of cycle because of COVID and those kinds of things. Whereas I think Microsoft, because of the way that the series systems have been selling and isn't up to maybe kind of expectation and isn't as great, and they're maybe pushing on the loss leader of Game Pass and something like that, potentially shifting what they're doing and releasing maybe more of a refresh. You know, it's not the Series X2 or the Series X Pro or whatever they would go. And it's no kind of series. They basically,
so I don't know what any of them
absolutely.
are called.
You've got to imagine that Microsoft had just sat there like, let's just make an Xbox. let's just in 2024. Let's just put the most powerful machine together as we can. And yes, we need a lower version because we've done that with the S and the X, and we've seen lots of people come in with the S and they're very hot on Game Pass, and we're generating money. We've made more money from them from buying an S and constantly subscribing to Game Pass as if they just bought an X and bought 1 or 2 games a year. We've made more money from them in this way. We've got to have a 2-tier system, but we now come back and we have just got Xbox and Xbox Lite.
Xbox Series C for cloud. They should have nipped this in the bud several years ago.
Absolutely,
and now they're just going to double down on it, aren't they?
There'll be a Series S2, and it just means stream. It's just like
or XY. Series XY, only for the boys.
And again, it will be the Xbox XXX, and it will be Vin Diesel just on all the marketing everywhere. Oh no, wait, Ice Cube. Was it Vin Diesel or Ice Cube?
It was both of them.
Yeah.
The second film, I think, had Ice Cube.
So if it's the Xbox XXX 2, it'd just be Ice Cube constantly everywhere. Like, yeah, play games.
So strange to have Ice Cube in it. Was Ice Cube ever like an action movie star, or was that like literally the only one?
I think that was his.
I'm just thinking of like Boys in the Hood and Barbershop. I don't see him as like.
Absolutely. Boys in the Hood, very different tone to Barbershop. And Friday as well. Friday, like, he very much moved into that kind of comedy. And I think
I don't remember in any action films.
Triple X was his kind of, I could do action, and he did Triple X 2. He's like, I don't really want to do action anymore. Fuck.
Bizarre. He could have been the new Rock, but just never worked out for him.
The old Rock.
Yes, I mean, he looked old in that film already. You know what I mean? So doesn't have the youthful look that Vin Diesel quite had, but. There you go.
Absolutely, absolutely. However, his son, I can never remember his name, but his son, who played him in Straight Outta Compton, very good actor.
I still need to watch that film.
Just
I got the DVD for like
so
free.
Good.
Yeah, I need to get around to it.
But yeah, his son, O'Shea Jackson, maybe.
That's Ice Cube.
Oh, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure.
Oh, fuck knows.
O'Shea Jackson. Odell, or is that a that might be like an NBA player.
Ice Cube's son's name. There we go. O'Shea Jackson Jr. There we go.
Okay, so it's just Junior.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's Odell Beckham.
Yes. So Ice Cube is O'Shea Jackson, and his son is O'Shea Jackson Jr. But yes, very good.
So they're both. So we were both right.
Yes, we were absolutely. But yeah, I haven't seen him in anything else since.
So he's been in films. He's been in. Junior.
Junior, yes.
Oh, right.
Considering how well he did in, but portraying his dad, yes, fine. But yeah, I haven't seen him in anything else. And he absolutely should be.
He's not poor, so he'll be all right. I think he'll be all right financially. If Hollywood aren't giving him a break, I don't think it matters too much.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Insane though that Straight Outta Compton came out 8 years ago.
Oh wow! Just I'm poor. I'm bad. I haven't seen it. I've got the DVD just sat there, and because I got it for free or something, when Sky were just giving out free movies or something, I was like, "Give me that! I want to see that." What did I do? Not watch it.
Do it now, mate. Put it on now.
It's on the list. I always think like one of the films where it's just like, "Oh, should I watch it?" It's like I should watch that. It's even been on like Netflix, and it's like, no, I want to watch the DVD. Yeah. I want to watch the DVD because I got the DVD for free, and free things taste the sweetest. Even though I'm watching free on Netflix that I didn't pay for. It's just
do any of your devices play DVDs anymore?
Yeah, the Series X. That's what it's called. The newest Xbox. And the one before it, Xbox One X. Those both play DVD. I think there was something wrong with the DVD drive, though, on one of them. Maybe I should look into that.
Yeah.
Because I think I just... oh, this isn't working. I'm very angry and frustrated. I'm just going to put on the other Xbox. Worked on the other Xbox, and then... yeah.
You'll find, like, Straight Outta Compton's probably in the other Xbox still. Just never been turned on again. Like, oh yeah, this does work. Turn it off and just never touch it again.
I think that's the penultimate Mission Impossible film that would have been in there. The one with Henry Cavill, who I couldn't tell was Henry Cavill because he had a mustache.
A mustache, yes.
So, if anyone says, you know, this Clark Kent kind of thing, when he puts on the glasses, it's clearly him. But it's like, no! Just takes a mustache or glasses. You can't tell it's the same person.
Completely different.
I was like, hold on, isn't that Henry Cavill? Like,
his hair was
a fake mustache in the film?
And then the film, he's just the other way, and he's got a mustache. Like,
it took me like an hour to realize. Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, he's got a mustache.
Viewers will come on next week, and Adel will be back. But he'll have had a shave. He'll have had his hair cut, and be like, "Who the fuck is this bloke?"
Pretty sure it's that Canadian bloke, but I'm not sure.
Sounds like him, but it doesn't look like him.
Genuinely, all you need is a fake mustache. If you have that fake nose as well and the glasses, it's just like game over. I'm
Absolutely.
not gonna know who.
I mean. I'm pretty sure there's photos of me from various festivals and at various points with like handlebar mustache, with just a mustache as well. I look the same all the time. There's no getting around it for me. I just look the same all the time. That's probably a good place for us to finish this week after our various tangents, ending us on, you know, Triple X. Who knows whether that was Xbox or the film that got us there, but yeah, there we go. That's what we're finishing out on. The Vocation beer, I will finish on this. Yeah, it was good. It was a nice beer. It was a nice flavour. The flavour stuck around towards the end of the beer as well. There's a tiny little snifter in the bottom. Still getting much more from the nose now on there, the flavour, rather than it being that sweet kind of cola flavour. So as I said at the start, don't let the nose put you off, because the flavour is much better. Even from that tiny little drop, still getting that combination of very light mint, a little bit of roasted chocolate, and the kind of slightly sweet bourbon towards the end. It is all there, but it's very, very light, which you would expect from a probably more mass-produced kind of beer, even if it's a special release, even if it's from someone like Vocation, that it is a bit of a watered-down version. You know, if someone like Verdant or Overtone or who's good at stouts, someone else that's good at Tartarus had put Brew York had put together a mint chocolate stout, not for kind of supermarket release. You could see it being bold and big and viscous and really kind of decadent. This lacks that decadence. Absolutely. Yeah. It is a 12 odd % beer, but you could kind of knock one back at any point and not really be phased by it, because it just isn't big enough. But fine for the supermarkets, I would think.
Yeah, something different.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Maybe it's somebody's first barrel-aged stout. You never know. Now they're convert.
First barrel-aged, yeah.
In a less condescending tone, yeah.
No, I mean it would be a very good place to start. You don't get a huge amount from the barrel aging on it that you would get from something like that Brew York had done, and you know, that really bring out those kinds of flavors. It's not that present in this. It is that kind of ending, just sort of like, oh, there's this as well. Okay, fine, that's gone again. The mint has kind of kicked back in. Yes, absolutely. As an entry kind of level of a 2 kind of digit percentage stout, which has some barrel aging to it, yes, very much. It's a good pick. If you've drank it, dear listener, viewer, or anything else similar you want to tell us about it, you can do so on social media at TankedUpCast on Twitter and on Instagram. I'm at Nova_47. Lucy is
Juicy Loose 9.
And you can go to outoflives.net. You can come to our Discord. You can go to our YouTube page to comment on the podcast and tell us what you've been drinking and what you've been playing. We will shoot you links to the Discord if you want to come and join us over there. Like, rate, review, share, tell a friend. Do all of those things that help spread the word about the podcast. And join us each and every week, usually on a Wednesday, to come and have a look at the beers that we've been drinking and talk about the games like Coffee Talk 2 and the perpetual kind of Vampire Survivors chat that seems to find its way in almost every couple of episodes, depending on their ridiculous DLC release schedule, because you know, that game is, as we said the other day, it's the game that keeps on giving. There will be DLC for that game forever.
I hope so. And I will have no qualms about paying for it every time, especially when it's like £1.50.
Yes, completely. They'll have absolutely bankrupt us in about 20 years, because you suddenly like, oh, it's £1.50 every 3 months. Cool. Oh, it's £1.50 every month. That's fine. Oh, it's £1.50 every day. Oh shit. Okay. Sure. What am I getting for this?
Hey, it's cheaper than bus pass.
Yeah. Oh. That's true. Don't bother commuting to work anymore. Just stay home and play Vampire Survivors. Pay £1.50 a day just to play Vampire Survivors. Done.
I mean, if you're sensible, you would have been doing that already.
Brilliant. I think that's a perfect place for us to say thank you for joining us. Goodbye.
Ta-ra. Ciao.
www.outoflives.net